An AI just drove a rover on Mars. Not in a simulation, not in a sandbox. On the actual surface of another planet, 456 meters of autonomous driving across Martian terrain, planned entirely by Anthropic's Claude AI. Meanwhile, back here on Earth, 71% of chief information officers say their AI budgets are about to get slashed if they can't prove those investments are actually working. This is where AI is right now, one foot on Mars, the other on very thin ice. Let's get into it. On December 8th and 10th, 2025, NASA's Perseverance rover completed something that has never been done before in the history of space exploration. The rover executed 2 separate drives across the Martian surface, 210 meters on the first day, 246 meters on the second, using waypoints that were entirely planned by artificial intelligence, specifically by Anthropic's Claude AI. Here's how it worked. The collaboration was led out of JPL's Rover Operations Center in Southern California. Engineers fed Claude the same data that human rover planners normally use: high-resolution orbital imagery from the HiRISE camera aboard the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, along with terrain and slope data from digital elevation models. Claude's vision capabilities analyzed those images, identified hazards like sand traps, boulder fields, and rocky outcrops, and then generated a path defined by a series of waypoints that avoided every one of them. But it didn't stop at route planning. Claude actually wrote the drive commands in rover markup language. That's a bespoke XML-based programming language originally developed for NASA's Mars exploration rover missions. The AI planned the path point by point, stringing together 10-meter segments, then iterated on its own work, critiquing and revising its waypoints before submitting them. Now, to be clear, JPL engineers didn't just blindly send AI-generated commands to a $2.7 billion rover on another planet. They reviewed everything. They ran the commands through a digital twin, a virtual replica of Perseverance, and verified more than 500,000 telemetry variables before anything was transmitted to Mars. The result? Only minor changes were needed. And according to JPL engineers, Claude can cut the time required for route planning in half. There's a reason this story hits different from every other AI headline. This isn't a chatbot passing a test. This isn't a benchmark score. This is an AI system making autonomous decisions that control a physical asset on another planet, 140 million miles from the nearest human engineer. Vandy Verma, a space roboticist at JPL and a member of the Perseverance engineering team, put it this way: the fundamental elements of generative AI are showing real promise in streamlining autonomous navigation for off-planet driving, perception, localization, planning, and control. And consider the implications beyond Mars. The communication delay to Mars is already significant, but missions to Europa or Titan, the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, would face even longer lags. AI-planned navigation isn't a nice-to-have for those missions. It's a prerequisite. Matt Wallace, who manages JPL's Exploration Systems Office, described a future where intelligent systems operate not just on Earth but at the edge, in rovers, helicopters, drones trained with the collective wisdom of NASA engineers, scientists, and astronauts. This demonstration proved that a vision language model can reliably reason about physical environments, identify real dangers, write valid machine commands, and do it all well enough that NASA engineers trusted it with their most advanced planetary exploration asset. That's a threshold moment for agentic AI. What to watch for? JPL is already working on the next step, having Perseverance use AI to relocalize itself by matching orbital images with ground-level views. And NASA has signaled that the next generation of Mars rovers could be fundamentally different, built from the ground up for AI-driven autonomous navigation. This December demonstration was the proof of concept. The real transformation is just getting started. So AI just proved it can operate autonomously on another planet, handling mission-critical decisions with minimal human oversight. That's extraordinary. But here's the uncomfortable question. If AI can navigate the surface of Mars, why are most companies on Earth still struggling to get any measurable value out of it at all? Because the numbers coming out of enterprise AI right now tell a very different story. A new global study from Dataiku, conducted by the Harris Poll and published this month, surveyed 600 CIOs across the United States, United Kingdom, France, Germany, UAE, Japan, South Korea, and Singapore, all from large organizations with annual revenues above $500 million. The findings are stark. 71% of those CIOs said their AI budgets will be cut or frozen if performance targets aren't met by the end of the first half of 2026. That's not a distant deadline. That's 4 months from now. And this isn't just about budgets. 74% of CIOs said their role, their actual job, will be at risk if their company doesn't deliver measurable business gains from AI within the next 2 years. 85% said their compensation will be directly tied to measurable AI outcomes. This is no longer a technology conversation. It's a career survival conversation. The backdrop makes it worse. Research from MIT found that 95% of enterprise generative AI projects fail to show measurable financial returns within 6 months. Only 1/3 of enterprises report any tangible AI benefits at all. And only 40% of CIOs say they can directly link half or more of their AI initiatives to measurable cost savings or revenue. There's also a governance crisis brewing underneath all of this. 82% of CIOs say employees are creating AI agents and applications faster than IT can govern them. 54% have already discovered unsanctioned shadow AI running in their organizations. And nearly 3 in 4 CIOs regret a major AI vendor or platform decision made in the last 18 months, with 62% saying they've faced direct challenges from their CEO over those choices. As DataIQ CEO Florian Duetto put it, CIOs are moving from experimentation into accountability faster than most organizations expected. This is the inflection point that was always coming. For the past 18+ months, enterprises have been pouring money into AI pilots, proofs of concept and transformation initiatives. Boards signed off on enormous budgets because the fear of being left behind was greater than the demand for proof. That era is over. What's happening now is a classic accountability correction. Boards aren't anti-AI. 98% of respondents said board pressure to demonstrate ROI is increasing. They want AI to work. They just want evidence that it does. The problem, according to multiple industry analyses, is that most early AI initiatives were experiments with little relevance to actual business operations. They didn't address real pain points, or when they did, the data infrastructure and integration work needed to scale them cost more than the anticipated return. Gartner predicts that over 40% of agentic AI projects will be scrapped by 2027. Not because the models fail, but because organizations can't operationalize them. This creates a specific kind of market pressure. The companies and platforms that can demonstrate concrete, measurable, fast-to-deploy AI value are about to have an enormous advantage. The window for vague promises and impressive demos is closing rapidly. The mid-2026 deadline is the immediate one to watch. If budget cuts hit at scale, it won't just slow AI adoption. It could trigger a cascading pullback across the enterprise software industry. Also keep an eye on AI audit and explainability requirements. 70% of CIOs expect formal mandates within the next 12 months. 2026 is shaping up to be the year AI has to grow up or get grounded. Here's the question worth sitting with: AI can drive a rover on Mars, but most companies can't get it to reliably improve a quarterly earnings report. The technology clearly works. The question is whether the organizations deploying it can keep up with what it's capable of. That gap between what AI can do and what institutions are ready for might be the defining story of this entire era. If you want to stay on top of it, subscribe. We break down AI and tech news like this every day. See you in the next one.